Today is going to be about scouting and data analytics. Does anybody... Thank you, Gabe. Does anybody want to give a stab? Put your hand up if you want to elaborate on something that you think is going to be covered here.
Scouting.
I guess, yeah?
Sitting for hours at a time.
Say again?
Sitting for hours at a time.
Sitting for hours at a time. Ben?
Strategy.
Strategy. That's not going to be covered. That's Nate's. Go ahead.
The purpose of scouting?
The purpose of scouting. Perfect. That's all we're going to take. You're good.
The scouting leaderboard.
That's later. Yes. So we're going to hop right into the details, which is, what is scouting? Scouting is going to cover everything of quantitative and qualitative information. That's going to be how did they cross the starting line, the auto line, how many coral did they pick up, did they pick up any algae, did they shoot it, how many did they do in auto and teleop. All of that stuff we pick up through your tablets, and we feed that, as I'll cover in a later part. The qualitative information that we pick up is more subjective of what we kind of teach you at the first couple events as we nail what our metrics are going to be. That could be vulnerability to defense. Do they break down, which is a very hard thing to determine if they've broken down, which we'll talk about later. Any feedback we get from the drive team, and the countless observations I hear from our scouters throughout the day, all good and bad, but we have to record it and take it into account. What it looks like is kind of magic. It's kind of like you guys just scout data and then it lands in a tablet and somehow it gets used somewhere, but in reality, it's much more complicated, which nobody likes complicated. So we have this weird pyramid scheme-ish looking diagram. It's not quite like that. We break it down into a couple different areas. So we have what we call scouting, which is what you guys do. This is where you provide the most assistance for us. And then we have the second part, which is the analytics. And the analytics is just a lot of programming at the end of the day. It's just programming. And at the end of that, what comes out of the reporting is the match information and alliance selection information. That information just keeps feeding into itself. So as we go through the day, we'll take breaks about every 4 to 8 matches, and I'll ask you to synchronize your data. I'll review that data, make sure there's no outliers in what we see, and then that data comes out. We make a nice dashboard, which I'll show you, and then that goes forward to the drive team to make their decisions on what, you know, their outcome of the match may look like. And they can try to, you know, improve those odds better than what we can predict. We have a strategist last year. We're going to continue to do that. Their role plays mainly in this last phase, which is all about reporting and the communication to the drive team. And it could be an additional person that is in charge of your alliance selection. So they play a key role because usually they're seated up in the stands watching all the matches. They could be down in the pits talking to teams, asking why something happened a certain way. And then they're coming back up and they're looking at more data. That last year we had 2 people, this year maybe 1. So, to be determined. So how do we know what data we should collect? Does anybody have an idea? Just 2 or 3 hands. Does anybody have an idea where we're going to figure out what we need to collect? Go ahead, Gabe.
How many points they score overall?
But how do we know that?
Oh, different versions of scoring. Like this year it was algae, climbing.
Okay, so game pieces is what you're asking. Ben, do you have an idea?
Yeah, why we should collect is so we know what teams are best at different subjects as well, like different game pieces. Like
Well, why don't we just look at the game manual? The game manual tells us what we should collect. That's what's valuable. Anything that makes a point or a ranking point is something that we should consider to scout. So that's what lands on your tablets. And it looks like that. This is a very long screenshot cut into 3 so you can see it. But it's separated into autonomous, teleop, end game, and then the miscellaneous stuff. Like, did they break down? Did they cross the line? What important notes do you have? Where did they start? Where did they score on the reef? So all that kind of information we have to break down where we can gather enough quantitative information that we can make a calculation later to determine how good or bad that match went, or predict how good or bad that drive team, I guess you can say, performed, because they tend to change. But we also don't want to bombard you with 45 different things you can click on your screen and then a game that pops up out of nowhere. So we have to be very careful with how much we bombard you with it. So all this information that you put in is fantastic. We have to review it. At the next phase of that big chart we saw, it looks like this. Very useful, right? It's just a lot of numbers on a screen, and then we have to make a program that can digest that information and give us the values we are looking for. When we come out of that, well, I also made a point. At this particular data set, we had 27,000 data points that we had to compute and make data out of. We crunch all these numbers and all these values that you see on your screen into a data visualization, which allows us to chart and pivot all that information that you put in and make it useful. Because if we have just like match 1, robot 1, 2, 3 did this, this, and this, that's not very useful on its own. It's the overarching data set from that event or even from our region. So when we start going to championships, our regional championships, we'll look at data from the entire season. So we can actually pull lots of match data from teams we've been with. When we step out of our data visualization, tongue twister to me, we're using Tableau, and the data starts to look like this. So this is our match data, which corresponds average teleop points to auto points. And so we have this is only one way to project that data. And if we look at it, we can find ourselves right there. So we can use this chart to quickly view where something lands. And from that, we've determined what features we like and what features we need as a good counterpart to what our features are. And we tend to call that our Luna score. And the Luna score is usually, there's 2 of them, and that's usually our first pick and our second pick for alliance selection. And that can be tweaked as we go through the day. We're like, hey, we're actually really good at coral. Maybe we need somebody better at algae. We can edit the formula, raise the point value, and now that jacks the score for that particular team, whatever feature they have, to pull them up in the charts. So we can actually see this is our list of information about key features, and the first 2 green columns you see are our Luna Score 1 and our Luna Score 2. And I can't tell you exactly what that calculation was because I don't have it on my computer, but it would look at, we're good at coral, so we want somebody who's equally as good as coral as we are, and we want somebody who can cross the auto line because that's important, we need that ranking point. And then for our Luna Score 2, we also want that auto line, but maybe we want more algae out of them. So we'll weigh the algae higher than coral for our second pick. So we can sort that first green column, which is what we see at the top, and then we can see in the second picture, it's now the second column sorted. And you'll notice, at least in this data set, between the first two robots were actually our top picks, which are actually, I believe, Alliance 1, Alliance 2, and I don't know what data set we pulled this from. I think it's Worlds. But what you'll soon figure out when you start looking at this data, if you do look at it during the season, those top 1 and 2 picks, actually top 4 tend to be gone anyway. They're usually high enough in the rankings where they're just not even an option. So we can clear that data from our view. Outside of this immediate ranking system, the Luna Rank 1, the Luna Rank 2, of looking at key features, we look at the other metrics, which are averages of everything else, and that's those extra columns you see on the end. And outside of that, when we're trying to figure out what's a good pick and what's not, we look at your comments. We see every comment you leave, and we use that to help reinforce our decisions. So if you say, looks good, that doesn't really help us. But if you say, could use some work with their drivetrain, seems like they're getting stuck often, that gives us some help. Maybe we'll send somebody from mechanical to go look at their robot and see how we can help. Or if you see something where they've broken down a few times and it looks like electrical issues, you see one here that on for 342, the team 342, that line is actually red. That's where we marked they were broken down. So we can look at that comment, say, hey, could we help them? Is this somebody we want to help with our alliance selection process? can we send somebody to go help them? So this is not a deterministic thing, but it's more of a, we will look at it and determine if there's something that we can use to say this is a good decision, a bad decision, or maybe we can go help them. So every chance you get to leave a comment, leave it something worthwhile that we can read and we can understand what you were feeling when you were watching that robot during that match. Next, we end up looking at this kind of a view called a match inspection, which is kind of a way we can see all the data that we've scouted from that match. So if we're looking at the data and we say, hey, for some reason this team got 36 coral, and it's like, how did that happen? We can go look at that particular team and we can look in that particular match and see all the values that came back for that match. Now, I am missing a slide. There's supposed to be another slide, which is match prediction, which allows you to select a match in the future and take the blended averages of all the teams and determine how the match could end up based on the top performing qualities of each robot. That's not on here, but that was an option. Now, to make all this stuff happen, we have, back in that pipeline picture we showed earlier, all these tools. Scouting just deals with the app, which is FRC Crawler. That's going to be changing this year. But down the pipeline is our data analysis, which is a custom Java app that does all the data crunching. We have Tableau to chart, which is all that, the previous screenshots you've been seeing. And then we have Jupyter, which is actually a Python, a way for us to pull data from StatBotics. People who've had bigger brains than me, doing more mathematical analysis on data sets than I have time for. And we can pull that into the data set. We can also pull information from the Blue Alliance. So if we go to championships or worlds, for example, we could pull data out of the Blue Alliance and use that to help us from match 1 of worlds as data that we can start to use. So we can pull that information together and use it before the matches even begin at worlds. And for some reason, my slide is short, or they were out of order. Well, I guess I'm missing a slide. Any questions off of that? I know I talked a bunch about different things. Gabe?
So, is scouting a pyramid scheme?
Sorry?
Go back to that one slide.
It is not exactly a pyramid scheme. That was a joke. You're talking about that.
Yeah, it's a pyramid scheme.
It is a workflow. So yes, Hannah.
So, will it just be the strategy team looking at all of this data, or could the whole team access it too?
The data is open for everyone to look at it. It isn't, because we're at events, we don't have internet to upload it somewhere, so it's not easily done to share with the entire team. But there'll be times where we'll screenshot something and put in Discord so everybody can look at it. Our plan is to try and get the Tableau data uploaded continuously, if that's a possibility where we go forward. But I always have the stuff on thumb drive so we can copy it to new computers, and we share it with other teams as well. So, Mike, go.
So with our new app, are we going to have to make a new app to scout, to change it over to Tableau?
That's an implementation detail we'll talk about when the season starts.
Got it.
Go ahead.
Are comments necessary?
They're not necessary, but they're appreciated. Because again, that comes back to give us more information, because it's our options are either to pull up the YouTube video and scroll back 6 hours to find that one match that played for 3 minutes, or can we read a nice quality comment that gives us enough context of how that robot did, more than just what the numbers can show. So if we have a really good performing robot and we see for one match that they score 0. Now off cuff, if you see a robot performing really good and then they go to the next match and they perform nothing, but they're not broken, based on that data, what can you assume? Any ideas? Hannah?
They play defense.
Yes. But how many people are going to immediately think of that as defense? Because they're going to say, oh, well, the data's wrong. Somebody didn't mark them as, broken down. Or maybe something got stuck. Maybe they are broken down. But that comment leaves that information where we can read it and we can use that as input. So we can determine, okay, that was not a bad match. They were doing defense. So that's also a reason why we've added a field here for defense. That field was added later in the season, I think after our first event, where we're like, all right, we need to kind of keep track of who played defense, who didn't. So, any other questions? Yes, Gabe.
Is dual scouting more effective?
Not really, because we're stuck in the area of enough students to have free time and take a break versus the other side.
Another team.
You mean scouting with our team? Like,
No, with another team.
that's fine, yeah, because at that point we're splitting the workload. We go from needing 6 students on our team to 3 students on our team and three students on their team. There are times where we will be scouting, and this has happened before, we would just share our data with them because they have no data, they have no scouting whatsoever, and they may have 1 student to share. But it's something that we work together as mentors to make sure it's fair for everybody involved. Any other questions? Andrew? Sorry, I didn't see your hand high.
Kind of an off question, but
Okay.
last year we struggled with a lot of matches with rewatching. So I was wondering, like, would we do like something like a couple students, like maybe LUNATEC, or kind of rewatch them with to help out, make that more efficient, or even just do it up in the rooms?
That's a possibility. The goal is to not have to rescout. So ultimately it comes to just being attentive to watching your match, making sure you know what bot you're tracking on the screen, or in this case in person, not on the TV. And then making sure that whatever robot collides with another robot or crosses paths, that you're tracking the right robot. That's the biggest issue we had last year, is robots would cross paths and a student would lose track of it. And that's okay, but I need you guys, when that happens, to tell somebody. Say, hey, I lost track of my robot. I didn't see it till the end. And then you can put that in the comments, and we can go back and rewatch it. Obviously, that's not what we want. We don't want to rewatch it. But I'd rather have a missing data point or no data for that match, for that one robot, than to have bad data, because that gives everyone the wrong impression. Yes?
While scouting, what do you do if you need to do something else, such as go to the bathroom or something?
Yeah. So it's either Danielle or myself in the stands. Usually, if Danielle's there, you're going to ask her. She's your mentor in the stands, and you just say, hey, I need to go to the bathroom, and she'll say, perfect, go find a buddy to walk with and hand the tablet off to somebody. That's a key thing that I forgot to put in the slides, but don't set your tablets down. It needs to go into a hand. If it goes on the ground, it goes on a bench, a seat, a chair, nobody's going to look for it. It's just going to sit there. It needs to go into someone's hand to make sure that it gets scouted. Somebody's scouting it. Danielle had something.
And make sure that you are being a good teammate and that you are not taking multiple trips to the bathroom because you don't feel like scouting, and that you're mindful of how long you're away from the stands, because that time that you're away, somebody who maybe already scouted 15 matches is now scouting more to cover your break, okay? It's just all about being a good teammate and being respectful and considerate of your teammates. And that doesn't mean you can't take a bathroom break, but just be mindful.
Yeah. It's a long day. A lot of us get tired, and I understand that it can be very monotonous watching robots and all that stuff, but we're working towards a goal. We're all working to get to the next goal post at, you know, our competition, which could be another event, it could be our championship, it could be Worlds, it could be Impact, it could be any number of things, but they all contribute to that one goal. So if we have 3 people that just are pulling us behind, it's not going to be fair for everyone else, because then somebody else has to pick up the slack. We all have to work to that goal. Gabe?
So this is like a question with how scouting will work, like based on time. Like, is there going to be like scouting schedules, or is it just going to be passed off to somebody after you scout certain?
It's usually based on the amount of matches. There may be times where it changes because of lunch schedules, where somebody will scout if they're supposed to switch off every 4. We get to lunch, maybe they do 6. That gives whoever's at lunch a little bit of time to finish their lunch and come back. So there'll be times where we'll switch off at a cadence every maybe 8 matches or 12 matches, depending on what's going on with the schedule. And then we go to lunch, and it might be you're doing extra 2. And then when you're coming back from lunch, we will make sure that it's fair, that you're not going to scout more matches than anybody else. We try to make it, again, balanced for everybody, so it's fair across the board. Yes, Gabe?
I don't ask a lot of questions, but let's say like you want to scout a lot of matches to, like, you know, get on the scouting leaderboard. Like, can you do that?
That is always open. Again, we just want to make sure it's fair. So we want to make sure that you get plenty of rest. We just want to make sure you have plenty of rest and you get a chance to walk around the events. So yes, you can openly go out and say, Ben, I would want to scout for your match. And you're more than welcome to. Yes?
I would like to say that
I would recommend not doing that. Even if you want to, it can lead to really bad scouting data, because I did that last year at an off-season event. I scouted every single match, and by the end, like, even though I was trying to stay focused, I still found moments where I was like blinking and realizing I was in the middle of a match, and I don't know if I was scouting or not, but it was an off-season, so don't do that instantly.
Now you tell me.
I did not do that, David.
Is that what we did about, right?
Ben, got a question?
It's also to kind of piggyback off of that comment. Probably maximum, I would say in a row is 30, but not even that.
In a row?
Yes, that's what I did.
Oh man. Well, we try to break you off before you reach, 10. So you have a cycle so you can get up, go to the bathroom, see pits.
Obviously, you didn't do it with him.
Any last lingering questions? Zaylee, you got one? Oh, okay. Will, you have one?
I want to point out that every little part of scouting is super important.
Yes.
Getting the data right is very important. Having been part of FRC for many years now and knowing our scouting program, over that, I can tell you when we have had great scouting data, we have been ranked 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and we have gone on to the end. Having had bad scouting data, being ranked 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, we are knocked out. The difference between getting to finals and winning and not going anywhere in finals is the scouting data. It is that important. We will spend hours going over this data before Sunday. We will stay up till 2, 3 in the morning trying to figure out what the picks are going to be for finals. People who are in that room get extremely exhausted, have very unpleasant pictures taken.
Somebody falling asleep.
But we look at this data and we choose it as gold. And if it is not gold, we are going to be in trouble.
Yep.
There's also nothing worse than like being an alliance captain and not having good scouting data. Because as an alliance captain, you're supposed to be the ones that's like kind of making the decisions, and you can't make the decisions if you don't have data to help you. So it's not a good look.
Gabe?
And if we are scouting with another team, and you are to be doubly as good as if you are scouting. Because you are giving someone else, we are giving you to another team to help scout, and they may be the ones collecting the data, not us. And we want that data, we want that team to know that when our teammates go and help them, that we are on our best. Now, we should always be on our best, but I want it to be doubly. Some years we have done that. Some years we have gone with other teams that use their scouting systems. And you also have to be on your best behavior as well. As much as that scouting system may be not up to what you're doing.
Who remembers going to Worlds and scouting?
That was
So we were scouting with what 2 other teams? Mo and
Mechanical Mustangs.
Mechanical Mustangs. So who, beyond that, when we were scouting with them, who knows what happened scouting wise? When you guys put the data in, who knows what happened after that? You weren't even there. Ben?
Pretty sure it went to one of the major teams, but they also shared it with you guys as well.
So the data came to us, and we had a mentor Slack channel where I put all the data together, and we used our Tableau workbook, and it got shared out to all the teams. It actually went out to 4 teams. It was us, Mechanical Mustangs, Mo, and another new team who had no scouting system whatsoever. So the data that we were collecting, Mechanical Mustangs was collecting, Mo was collecting, we were all sharing that data between ourselves, and we were all using a workbook that reflected all the information we needed, and it was going out to another team that wasn't even helping us. And we don't want to steer anybody wrong. We want all the right data. We want to share and be respectful of, our reputation that we have, and make sure that whatever data we're giving out is right. Any other last lingering questions? Gabe?
So you know how sometimes the teams have stuff in the pits, and you can send students down to do that? How will that impact scouting?
Are you referring to pit scouting?
No. I'm talking about I think it was at the district champs last year. It was this one team, but they had leapfrog in their pits.
So when you have your breaks, you will have free time to go to the pits to look around, not stay or linger in our pit There's not enough space for that. But you can go and look at other pits. You can go do activities, bathroom breaks, lunch or snack, whatever you need to do. You do it during that time, okay? Yeah. We will address more questions after the show, all right? Anything else? That's it. All right, well, that's all I have.